Jessica Alstrom, spiritual teacher, medical intuitive, and quantum integration specialist, answers your spiritual questions and assists you through understanding your personal process while providing tools and techniques to move swiftly through the journey back to light.
Hello and good morning and welcome to the Transcendence Podcast. This is your host, Jessica Alstrom, and I wanted to do a podcast this morning, basically how to be a master manifester and the secret to manifesting. You know, I've read probably 100 different books on manifesting, and if you are like me, you always say, okay, but how? How do we do this? I know how it works logically. I know how it feels logically. I can explain it to someone, but actually putting it into practice in your life sometimes is quite difficult. And the reason why is because circumstances are so distracting. You know, you're constantly looking around your environment at what is. And when you're looking at what is, it's very hard for you to be able to get into your workshop of the mind and create what could be. Because everything is kind of fighting against creation as far as a third dimensional body standpoint, because your brain is designed to keep you focused in the here and the now, in the past and the possible future, but only based on where you've been. It's not a, computer system. The brain-body connection is not a computer system designed for creation of new, except for a few little key points of the brain, and we'll get into that today. But what I wanted to explain to you guys today is how to manifest both physically, emotionally, and chemically. Because you have all of the toolbox contained within your energy body and into that human body and into that universal mind that you have access to at any point. But sometimes it feels like you're kind of trying to fight against your own dreams and desires because of the programming from the past. And so what I wanted to do is kind of give you guys more of a scientific / spiritual toolkit today and an exact map to manifest anything you want. Now, you may need to listen to this a few times, and the reason why I say is because repetition downloads into your hard drive. And, it's not just reading a book once. It's not just listening to a teacher once. You might have to listen to, your favorite teacher on a podcast or a YouTube video 100 times before it finally sinks in. Just like when you learned to walk, you had to fall down 100 times before you actually learned how to subconsciously walk and didn't have to, physically think about walking anymore. And that is the way you're still learning. You have to have repetition of information. And that's why it's great to listen to so many different teachers, because we're technically all going to say the same thing, but we're going to put our little spin and personality and stories on it. And when you hear truth over and over and over and over again, it starts to ring true for you, because you're like, well, okay, this teacher said this and this teacher said that, but it's pretty much the same thing. And then now I can believe that. But if everybody is saying a different thing, then you're kind of left into that equation of, well, who do I listen to? Who do I trust? And at the end of the day, your job is to trust yourself, because you know what resonates. You know what's true for you. It will literally vibrate through your whole being when you read something or hear something that is truth for you. And that is really important, that on this journey of manifesting, that your ultimate goal is to trust your gut. Because trusting your gut, trusting that intuition, trusting yourself is actually how you're going to utilize your entire toolkit. That's where all your psychic abilities lie. That's where all your knowing lies. That's where all your GPS system lies. That's where all of your magic lies. And when you don't trust yourself, then you need advice and information from others to try to navigate a path that isn't even really yours. It's a combination of what you want and what they know. So obviously trust is essential, and I'm going to be talking about that in Second Sundays coming up, but I wanted to give you guys a podcast that was just really fun and really playful. And, I've been working on, perfecting my manifesting skills for about 7 years now, and And I have a lot of confidence in knowing that anything that I want to create is just, a few steps away. And how it shows up, or the people it shows up in, or the places it shows up in, are really none of my business. Because once you start trying to move into the stories of how, when, and who, then you're working in your mental part of your body and your brain and your mind, and that is trying to find something that would be believable, which means you only have maybe 100 different characters in your life right now. And so when you try to think of who it's going to manifest through, you're trying to utilize the information of the past to determine where you will be in the future, and you haven't met certain people yet. You haven't seen certain things yet. You haven't experienced certain things in your life that will make everything make sense once you start manifesting. And I like to share my personal stories because it kind of helps you guys take some of the pressure off of thinking that, that I just woke up one day and became this spiritual teacher and, had all the information of the universe just at my fingertips. And that is completely not the truth. I've had to face every demon and work through every shadow and, experience what most people would call failure, which I would call experience, and really just kind of go back to the workshop, go back to, the study sheets, go back to my meditations, and just dig through thousands and thousands and thousands of unlimiting beliefs that have been stopping me from my desires and goals and intentions my whole life. So this didn't come easy to me. I wasn't a good student. I actually have a learning disability. It's dyslexia. And so I tend to put things backwards at times when I'm trying to write. And my mind moves so much faster than my body sometimes that I stumble. And I'm sure you've heard that if you've listened to my podcast. But I'm doing all of this through just really intense desire that I want to be happy. And I want to experience the so-called heaven on earth because I know it's there. I believe that viscerally, and I've really, really created a large portion of that in my life, and I'll never give up until it is completely abundance in all areas. And I'm more than halfway there, and so I want to show you guys how I do this because it's extremely strategic, it's extremely scientific, and it's extremely expansive in the opening up the workshop of your mind. And Abraham Hicks talks about creation is 99% complete once you've actually imagined it, and I want to show you today exactly what she means. And I want to show you today that the process of creation, of when you actually think and intend something, where those particles go, where those atoms percolate, where is that parallel reality that you're going to shift into reside, and kind of give you hopefully a visual over the next hour of really how this unfolds. Because the thing is this is the podcast that is the secret of manifesting. The secret talks about think it, believe it, achieve it, and that's great. And you're sitting there trying to do that, and then all your shadows pop up, and you get angry and you put the book down and you're like, whatever. So what I want to do today is give you the exact formula. Now, again, like I said, listen to this as many times as you need to really download it into your mental mind, because you're going to need all parts of you to be a manifester. So spiritual people who reside outside of your body because you don't like to be human or you don't like to be here, manifestation does not work for you if you're not in your body. Okay, so I'm going to explain all of that. So the first one is desire. And desire comes from the bigger part of you. Desire, you think that the things you want are actually coming from maybe your ego or your mind or a reflection of what you don't have, and that is true, but it is also coming from the vast universe that is and has a desire to experience expansion. So when you want something, it is literally like the entire universe wanting something. And it is a symbol of something that you can generate in your third dimensional reality that will feel like what the universe wants. So if the universe and your higher self and your soul want to experience freedom, that will funnel through you, all of your energy body, etherical body, emotional body, into that brain of yours, and it will compute as, I want abundance. Because abundance feels like freedom. Abundance of choice, abundance of money, abundance of wonderful people, abundance of opportunities. And so you start to have the desire for abundance, okay? And then you put an ego symbol on abundance, and maybe you put the ego symbol of money. So it started off from your higher self as really creating freedom for yourself. And then as it processed through all of those filters, it came to the brain body connection as wanting abundance. And the ego is going to filter that and say it needs to be money. Okay, because the ego doesn't know that the ability to do what you want to do, when you want to do it, how you want to do it, is the actual definition of abundance. It feels like the only way it's going to be able to do what it needs to do is to have money. So you can see already that there is a disconnect and a segregation and limitations attached by the time your physical body feels desire. All you know is that you're looking at your bank account and there's not a lot of freedom sitting there. And that is going to feel like you're not free. So desire is not just coming from you. And that's why it is your job to not only work towards your desires, but to manifest them. Because when you manifest your desires, you are expanding the universe. You are teaching the universe that you are unlimited, regardless of what physical form you are in. And it is the thing that if you can move into desires and manifest them, that you're not only expanding the universe, you are raising the consciousness of everyone else and their ability to manifest, because you are attached and connected to every single living soul in the universe. And so when you expand, everyone expands. It is literally like dropping that pebble into the water and it reaching all the way to the shore. You have that much effect on people when you go and towards your dreams and you manifest that what you want. I mean, you have a huge responsibility. And I'm going to tell you, when you don't go towards your dreams and manifest the things that you want in those moments, you become at war with yourself, because you're not going to stop desiring until you're enlightened. Buddha talks about desiring is, unneeded when you are in that state of being, of grace. And that's true. But until we move into complete enlightenment, desire is your engine. It is the thing that's going to be pulling you from strange places that make no logical sense. It's going to be the thing that feels like, if I could just have this, my life would be perfect. If I could just have this perfect health, if I could just have this money, if I could just meet this person. So you're never going to stop desiring, and that call is never going to go away, because it's not just coming from you. And you can try to take drugs to stop it. You can watch TV to stop it. You can go shopping to stop it. You can do whatever it is, you can stop it, but you're only band-aiding what's going to get louder later. So desire is essential. Don't be upset when you have desires. And the only reason that you're upset when you have desires is because there's been too many times in your mental story bank of when you have been unfulfilled, or your expectations haven't been met, or you've been let down, or you haven't gotten what you wanted. And so when you start to desire, right, the ego, the brain, goes into its memory bank, and it repeats all of the times when you did not get what you wanted. And if you've listened to my podcast, Feelings versus Emotions, you know that the feeling is coming from the soul. The feeling is coming from higher self and the universe. And the emotion that you attach to it is coming from your logical, reactive, story-based filtration system of 3D protocol, which is who you were in the past. So now you're desiring this amazing job, and the mind goes looking for all the times where you've desired that before and it hasn't ended well, and it gives you the highlight of all of those times. And within about 2.5 seconds, you go from extreme high to depression. So it's really important that you listen to some of my other podcasts and really study the effects of, how desire gets shut down before you try to set out on your journey and manifest something in 3 weeks. Because really, the moon is a guide for expansion. It heightens and lowers electromagnetic energy, and so you really can utilize the energy of the planet to manifest very quickly. Basically, what you need is, on a third dimensional planet, to manifest anything you desire, you need the earth, the moon, and your body. And then all of the things, obviously, that you can't see, the unseen forces that are helping you. And desire is, think about it, it's like pressure. Okay, so like imagine two magnets coming together. At first, it's kind of like you don't notice the feeling, and then all of a sudden, as it gets closer, it really starts to pop together, and it's like forces can't keep it apart. Well, that's how you are with your manifestations, when you really get hyper focused on it. And so imagine that you are a magnet, and as soon as you have a desire, you are now sending the call for the exact match of what you want. And yes, it's symbolic, and yes, what you want versus what you really want is processed through a filtration system. Again, wanting money is wanting freedom. So what you actually want is, you're seeking for the other magnet that represents freedom. Complete freedom, financial freedom, freedom of health, freedom of choice, all of these things. That's what you're seeking. But the intention that you're setting, the desire that you're seeking, is maybe money. So how this works is, as soon as you get a desire, you're trying to feel all of those different urges and all of those different feelings that are coming with that desire. And sometimes it's pretty heavy emotion when you really want something. And so desire is a place that is between you and you. Okay? And it's really important that for the first 4 steps of manifestation, this journey is between you and you. That means that when you start desiring something, you do not run out and start talking about it, because you have done no work in your workshop of the mind to bring that magnet into vibrational match for you. And therefore, anyone around you can contradict your desire and tell you why you can't have it, or why you couldn't create that, or how that's not logical, or how that's not responsible. And your desire will now become just a thing of the past, one more thing that you can't have, or that you're not allowed to be. So it's really important that this is a solitude place for you, that your desires are between you. And you can sit in your workshop of your mind all day long and talk to yourself about why you want this, and what you believe, and why you don't think that you can have this. This would be a great place to start doing some shadow work on racing belief systems on why you can't have something. I would recommend that, if at this stage, if you had a desire for a boatload of money, that you went and did some brain reentrainment, or some deep meditation, or some neuro reprogramming, to clean out all of the reasons why that you can't have money, right? Or you haven't had money. Because if you don't have it right now, it's because you believe you can't have it. It's not because the universe is keeping it away from you. It is because you, somewhere in your story bank of your computer hard drive, believes that you can't have it, or you don't deserve it. So your job in the first stage of manifestation is literally to take responsibility for why you don't believe you can have it. And we've got lots of different processes that you can do shadow work to clear out all of those negative beliefs, so that you can start clearly, purely visualizing. And visualizing is the second step. And what happens is, if you get a desire and you sit down and you start visualizing, and your visualizing is filled with negative things about why that will never happen for you, then that's all that's telling you, is that your visualization is not pure, because you have a ton of belief systems around not being able to be free. Maybe you weren't free as a child. Maybe you weren't safe as a child. Money is all about values, safety, and freedom. So if you've got, safety issues, if you've got self-value issues or self-esteem issues, or if you've got, freedom issues, that's going to block your money flow. And I'm only using money, but you can put anything in this. You can put body health, you can put more time, you can put perfect tribe, perfect relationships, ideal jobs, clairvoyance, psychic abilities, fill in the blank. I'm only using money because it's a general, okay? So when you get to the visualization, which is step 2, this is where all your old belief systems are going to come to the surface. So it's not like you even have to go searching for them. It is literally like they will begin to pop up. Oh, I can have that. People don't win the lottery, right? And that's when you'd go, oh, there's my shadow work. So you can see before you even start diving into manifestation, all of the things that have been stored in a filtration system are going to start popping up for you, right? Or maybe you set a desire that you want, I want to create $100,000 this year. And then the next day, you get a big fat bill in the mail that you weren't expecting. And you're going to look at that and go, oh, I just desired more money and now I owe more money. And the ego is going to feel very defeated and very angry and very sad. And the soul is going to say, here you go, I just manifested you basically a shadow that says, every time I desire something I want, I get something, I have some obstacle in my way. That's all that bill was showing you, because everything is a message. Every bill that comes in the mail unexpected, every body problem, every relationship trigger, everything is just a message. And see, the thing is when you start desiring something, that's also coming from higher self. And so higher self really, really wants you to have that. And so it has to start bringing up everything that's in the way of that. Okay? So you could look at that bill that came in the mail the next day and go, okay, awesome. See, all the money I'm going to have, I wouldn't have to worry about this anymore. But it's a mindset. So if you haven't done some brain retrainment, or you haven't done meditation to clear out a lot of subconscious or time travel or, trigger work or journal work, then you're going to just go back into third dimensional filtration and say, see, this is exactly my problem, and fall deep into depression. There's no solutions. So when you get to a clear place of visualization, this is where things really start to speed up, because this really starts to bring up the vibration of your body. And when you visualize anything new, anything bigger than what you are right now, anything unlimited, anything beautiful, anything magical, your entire frequency raises into ecstasy, passion, and excitement, and your brain moves into what's called gamma. And gamma is the frequency of unconditional love. And when you're in the frequency of unconditional love, you need no time and space. The aging process stops, and everything begins to percolate, and you start to move and shift into basically a different movie, into a different character. And so instead of thinking that you're actually really pulling something to you, imagine that you're just jumping into a different story where that already exists, because that's how parallel realities work. You're not bringing something to you, you're actually moving into a different movie frame where you can now be the new character that can handle that new life. So visualization is something that you want to spend time, and you can see again, this process is between you and you, okay? This is between you and you. Unless you have a great light coach or a great, accountability partner that can actually sit and visualize with you and not judge a damn thing you're saying and really be with you and hold light and space for you, I would recommend you doing it by yourself. So visualize yourself, sift through different possibilities and stories until you find the one that really resonates to your authentic self. And then you're ready to set an intention. And when you set an intention, you are basically like putting your order into the universe. You're saying, this is who I am. This is the character I am. My character is abundant and free and safe and valuable. And this is who I am. And now, once you actually set an intention for the universe, it is really important that you don't counter-intend that intention. And counter-intend basically means, I want $100,000, but I would have to work 80 hours a week to do that. I just counter-intended my freedom. I just put a belief system on $100,000. So if you counter-intend your intentions, then you start back at desire. And that's how it works, is you have to go back to the starting point until you really, really learn how to do this. You will go back to that desire point. And if you've got a whole bunch of negative belief systems, this will feel like depression. It will feel like anxiety. It will feel like stress. So you want to get to that place of intention, and you want to really set your order. It's like literally clicking the buy now button. And the thing is once you click the buy now button, you're no longer creating it. You've spent the time in your workshop of your mind. You've cleared through the belief systems that are stopping you from thinking you can have it. And so all of the mental work is done at this point as soon as you set the intention. It is literally like, imagine desire, like, oh, I really need a new couch. Great. So that's your desire. Now you're going to visualize it. Now you're going to go shopping for it. Okay? So as soon as you shop for it, you're going to see 100 different couches, and all of a sudden you're going to show up at one store and you're going to actually find it. You're going to be like, that's it. So imagine that all of a sudden that's your intention place. And so the store lady says, well, we don't have this model in stock. We'll have to ship it to you. And you're like, awesome. Okay, so what would you do after that? Would you go back to your house and start desiring the couch again and then start looking online again? No, you wouldn't do that, because you have already bought it, paid for it, and now you're waiting for it to show up. That is exactly how intention works. You put your order in, it's done. You don't need to go back and think, oh my gosh, is my couch going to show up? Is it going to be the right size? No, you've sat in it, you felt it, you know it, it's yours. You've paid for it, it's coming. And so if that were really true, your next step would be to basically imagine where the couch would be once you brought it home. Imagine sitting in it. Imagine watching lots of movies on the couch. Imagine entertaining and having your great friends come sit on the couch. Okay? And so you wouldn't be shopping for the couch again. You would be imagining as if it was in your house. You might even go home and start moving furniture around. Okay? So the fourth step of manifestation is imagine as if. Imagine as if, meaning you need to start virtually living on the couch. You need to start virtually spending the money. You need to start virtually whatever it is that you used as your symbol, which means you bought it, you put the order in, it's coming, it's on its way, and now your job is to, again, go into your mental workshop and live with that. Live with that. And what this does biochemically is you're practicing your new role, you're practicing your new state of being, you're practicing your new addition to your life, and you're vibrating it into the body and telling the body that it's true. Because the thing is if the body and brain don't believe it's true, you will never get it, which means it'll get lost in the mail. If you go home after you've bought the couch and you start second guessing yourself. Oh my gosh, was that the right choice? Should I have bought the other one? I really didn't have the money to spend on that couch. I'm so irresponsible. I should have, paid off my debt, my credit card debt, instead of buying that couch. Then there's a probability that that couch will not come. Because the thing is now you've just counterintended. And how many times do you do that? So it's really important that you just hold on to that truth. It's not like it's not like you have to have the couch forever. You could literally get the couch, live on it for a year, and sell it. So the thing is the ego gets really freaked out when things feel permanent, although it resists change. So after you make a big purchase like that, that's going to bring up a whole new bunch of shadows. Oh my gosh, what's going to happen? And here's one that happens a lot on the spiritual journey is you set an intention. And then as soon as you set the intention, you start to go, oh my gosh, if this manifests, I'm going to leave this person behind. I'm going to leave this person behind. I'm not going to have this anymore. And the ego goes into what it's actually going to lose by you gaining something spiritually. And that's the ego trap, is it starts to go into all the things you're going to lose because of what you're desiring. And that's a self-survival mechanism, because the ego doesn't like to get its heart broken. It doesn't like to be disappointed, yet it always is. So a lot of times you'll go buy the couch, you'll come home and you'll regret it. And if you've got a lot of mental chatter and you haven't done a lot of meditation or mind reentrainment, then you're going to overthink it, you're going to rethink it, you're going to call, you're going to cancel your order. And that's exactly what you do vibrationally once you set an intention. is you start feeling guilty for it, or you start feeling like I don't deserve this, or I shouldn't be spending this money right now, or I shouldn't desire this money. There's a lot of people who don't have what I have, and that's your second stage of shadow clearing. So you're going to do a lot of shadow work right around desire, and then you're going to spend a lot of time visualizing and intending. And as soon as you start to get into your imagination workshop, where you're actually virtually living with and living with the new spouse you create, living with the new relationship you create, living on the new couch you bought, living with the $100,000, a whole new crop of core, deep negative belief systems are going to rise to the surface. And so your job is to say, you know what? My job is to just create this desire because this will expand the universe, and I can always go and create a new desire after this is manifested. So it's important for you to kind of like stop being so wishy-washy and just go into your imagination and just build it, create it, and become it. That doesn't mean that in a year from now you can't change it. So a lot of people on the journey will say, well, I don't know who I'm going to be in a year. I don't want to manifest this job, because the ego thinks you're going to be stuck. Because the thing is the ego can only see what is. Everything is permanent. Everything is real. Circumstances are the only thing that exist. So you're constantly battling between, reality and make-believe. And the thing is all you've got to manifest is make-believing. You cannot use logic and you cannot use circumstances to ever manifest. You have got to use the workshop of the imagination, which taps you into the whole entire quantum field of possibilities, which is the access to all the different parallel realities where this version of you exists. So imagination is a huge part of your workshop. And can you see by now, desire, visualization, intention, and imagination, that's all a self-process. That's you and you. That's between you and you. That is nothing to do with anyone else, okay? That has nothing to do with anyone else's opinions or belief systems, because your universe is unique to why you came here, and your desires are specific to your divine purpose, and they won't make sense to other people, okay? And you can't leave anyone out. And there's a podcast that I just did a couple of days ago called Let Go or Be Dragged, where it talks about, a lot of times we don't excel on the journey is because we're afraid to hurt people. Like maybe your desire is to leave your relationship, but then you have that also that guilt that comes up where, well, I don't want to hurt him. He's a great guy. But your desire, everything in the universe is telling you to be free. So again, we have a lot of times where we stop our journey, especially as empaths, because we don't want to hurt people or leave people behind. But the thing is you can bring a version of them with you in your new parallel reality. But to be honest, as a spiritual teacher, I'm going to tell you that sometimes tough love, sometimes you releasing people, it helps them find their own light switch. It helps them find their own self-love. Because if your greatest awakenings happen through pain, isn't that how someone else is going to wake up? Is through pain? Maybe you're going to help someone wake up by leaving them. By you actually taking your love and light away from them, it's going to help them find their own. And it's really important that on the spiritual journey, you know that you have to kind of be the quintessential bad guy at times in order to help people awaken. You have to have the tough love. You have to stop enabling people. You have to stop living for other people's journeys. You have to stop living for other people's joy. And what happens is when you let go of their journey that you can't really maintain anyways, and really move into your own, you help them 100,000 times more than you would help them if you just, let them keep abusing you, or let them keep, owning you or controlling you. You're setting yourself free, and by you setting yourself free, you're setting them free. They just don't know they're free yet, and they have to stumble through and learn to walk. And that's part of their journey, because their soul will be kind of pissed off at you if you keep doing their journey for them. Why do you think kids are pissed off at you? Why do you think some people are angry with you when you do everything for them? You could literally do everything for them and they just keep getting more upset with you, because their soul is saying, I want to do this for me. I want to go into my workshop. I want to desire and visualize and intend and imagine. And because you're here always doing everything for me, I can't do that. So it's a really codependent connection that you've got to break in this process of manifestation, because you have to realize that by you manifesting your deep, deep desire, you have to let things go. You have to let people go. You have to let places go. You have to let old ideas go. You have to let belief systems go, because if your cup is all the way filled up, you can't build anything new. You can't fill it up anymore. You've got to let things go in order to fill up. It's a give and a receive type of universe. It's like if you want to get something, you have to give up something. But you don't have to do it in a negative. There's no loss attached to it. It's just, wow, if I really let go of this job, then all this work that I was doing for this company, the work of 10 people, they are going to have to learn that how valuable I was, and they're going to have to learn how to do this without me. And that's good, because anytime someone has to learn about themselves, that's really, really important. So I think this is making sense. So Imagine is about a whole new plethora of shadow work that will come up, and that's your obligations, your responsibilities, who you're really going to allow yourself to be. Are you really going to let yourself be unlimited? And so there's going to be a lot of self-exploration there. There's going to be a lot of shadows to clear. There's going to be a lot of old stories to let go of. There's going to be people, places, and circumstances and events that it's time to move on from in this stage. And what will happen is, if you can do that, then the fifth step of manifestation is what's called inspired action. And this is the first time that you are physically doing anything with manifestation. Everything else has been in the workshop of the mind. So inspired action is when all of a sudden you say, I need to go to this place, and I don't know why I need to go to this place, or I need to make this phone call, or a solution pops into your head, or a great idea starts to come. And this is where you're now going to start moving in the energy that you've been building. And this is the only place that you start moving. You only take inspired action. You never take action. Action is busy work. Inspired action feels like the logical next step. Okay, so like, oh, I just need to buy this book. I just need to call this person. I just need to finally pull the trigger and take this workshop, or whatever, fill in the blank. You will know, because if you've cleared out a lot of belief systems that say you can't have what you want, the inspired action feels like ease, which means that it's just one or two phone calls and you have exactly what you want, or the person shows up and puts in your hands exactly what you want, or you get the winning ticket. It's not heavy body strain of action. It's inspired action, inspirited action. You are just moving into that new character and state of being, and it feels effortless. It feels easy. Everything works out. There's no complications. There's no setbacks. It's like you know exactly what to say, because this is where you literally have integrated higher self into that desire, and now higher self is taking action instead of ego taking action. It's a very different feeling, okay? So with inspired action, you're starting to now live as that character. Before, you were pretending as that character, you were imagining as that character, you were vibrating as that character, and now with inspired action, you're starting to live as that new character. And this is where it's really important, because ego is going to set traps for you every set of the way based in circumstances. And so it's really important that after you start taking inspired action, if you start to look around and notice that there's no more steps to take, or you don't know what to do next, or you don't know where to go, and you start to feel a little bit of anxiety, like, oh my gosh, everything was moving and now everything's just stopped. This is where I have mastered manifestation, because the thing is I know that if I desired the couch, I visualized the couch, I shopped for the couch, I intended and I bought the couch, and then while I was waiting for it to show up at my house, I was imagining myself living with the couch, okay? And the inspired action was that I move everything around to make space for the couch, and I buy a new lamp that's going to go with the couch, and I have set the party up that everyone's going to come to enjoy the couch. That would be my inspired action, okay? The next step is there's going to be it's going to feel like everything just slows really slow, and the reason why is behind the curtain in the veil, the universe is gathering the different characters, props, and circumstances that you will need in your new life. And sometimes this will take a process of you balancing karma. So it's almost like for you to really deserve the new reality that you're trying to create. And that what you've got to do is you've got to now balance energy. So if you have any imbalancing of giving and receiving, this is where you'll start to feel like nothing's moving. You'll start to feel like, oh, everything is just stopped. Okay, so this is the place where I have learned to fast track manifestation. So after I've taken inspired action, I am going to move into service for others, which means I might help someone else find a couch. I might help someone else make money. I might help someone else look for a relationship. I might do some free sessions. I might just dive into writing a blog of an experience that I had on my way to manifestation. I'm going to throw myself into service. So it's almost like now being the entitled child where you're waiting for your money to show up. Instead, you're going to go, I love this feeling of this money coming so much. I'm going to go help 10 people make money this week. And not what you're doing vibrationally is you're keeping your frequency in gamma, which is unconditional love and gratitude. And you're moving energy telling the universe is that I don't want this just for me. I want this for everyone. And you balance a lifetime of karma of all the times where maybe you weren't the best with money or best with furniture or best with people. And you start clearing karma and you start to activate your give and receive mechanism so that there's no imbalance with your giving and receiving, because a lot of us are just givers and we don't know how to receive. So it's all about balancing that energy, because when you move into service, your whole brain body connection starts to feel worthy. It starts to feel confident. It starts to be of service, and you stop worrying or judging yourself that you shouldn't be able to have what you want. So service is the secret weapon of manifestation. And this will also be a divine distraction for you, because when you're helping someone else, you're not judging what you have. You're not judging what you're missing. You're not judging what you don't, that hasn't manifested yet, because you're keeping yourself busy and you're keeping your mind chatter low because you're focused on someone else's journey and how you can help someone else. And it's all about them, because the universe needs time to build all your new reality. And if you keep looking at it quantumly, you could literally mess up your manifestation very easy by waiting for it to come. Just by waiting for it to come and seeing that it doesn't exist tells the universe it doesn't exist. So it's like you have to have such a faith in the universe that it is building the workshop behind the scenes and is building your new reality behind the scenes, that you're safe to go dive into service, which means you know the couch is coming, you've set the party, you've moved the room. Now it's time to go help your best friend move. Or now it's time to help, go help at a daycare center. Or, make someone a great meal. You don't need to say, no, I'm sorry, I need to sit at home and wait for my couch. Well, your couch isn't supposed to be here yet, so go get busy. Because the thing is patience is one of the things that egos have the hardest time with. And if you get stuck in the patience game or the waiting game, it will never show up, because the vibration of waiting is more waiting. The vibration of needing is more needing. So it's like you have to completely distract yourself, okay? And you want to get lost in service. And what happens is when you're lost in service, guess what's showing up? You come home and you're like, oh my gosh, it's here, and it's 2 weeks early. Wow. And you're so excited and you're high. And you see how if you do this the way I say it, you never really have to drop out of your high vibration very long. Because even when you're doing shadow work and you're intentionally saying, I'm going to be responsible for all my past stories and problems, and that is extremely high vibration. Just because you dip into old memories for a while and sort through old belief systems, that's almost like just going and cleaning out your closet. That's not going to keep you in a low vibration. That's going to keep you in a really high vibration. And so the last step of manifestation is to surrender the outcome of how, who, and when. Because this is usually what happens, is when you've set a desire, you're setting a desire from a kind of a low place. Yes, you have the whole universe backing your desire, but again, by the universe desire for you was complete freedom. Your higher self's desire for you was freedom. By the time the ego got a hold of it, it was $100,000. And so you're thinking that you actually placed an order for $100,000 or this one type of couch. And if you do all of these steps correctly and you realize that you are that magnet, then what's going to happen is if you move swiftly and quickly through this process, this formula, that the outcome is always better than you could have imagined. But if you are focused on having that exact couch, okay, or that exact $100,000, then you're also closing a whole bunch of doors that the universe was giving you to give you exactly what higher self wanted you to have. And what if a giant sectional that you couldn't afford when you first set out to do the desire shows up? What if $200,000 show up? What if no money showed up, but you got everything you wanted, which means someone bought you a house, someone bought you the new car, someone gave you the opportunity that was worth way more than $100,000? What if you had spontaneous healing in your body that you actually wanted the $100,000 for the treatment of? So the thing is your job is to have no expectations once you move into service. Like, you know what? I'm feeling so awesome. I don't care what shows up. I know it's in alignment with my higher self's desire. My higher self knows what way more than what I want than I do. It's going to be in complete alignment with even my ego desire, yet it's going to surprise me. So I'm opening up for better and more, and the how and the when and the why and the who, it doesn't matter. So it's almost like maybe you set a desire that you want to date a specific person, and you've got your sights set and locked on that person because that person symbolizes to you something very specific about the way you could love yourself or be loved or share loved, and you just love them. And so you visualize yourself with this person, and you sift through all the possibilities, and you're working through all your shadows of why you couldn't be with that person or whatever. And then once you set the intention, it's like you're putting your order in. Okay, universe, this is my guy, this is my girl, this is who I am, this is who I want. And because that person symbolizes everything you want. And so you imagine you virtually date this person, you virtually marry this person, you're living in your workshop a few minutes a day in your mind with this person, and the inspired action comes and you make a phone call to them and you start connecting, and it's really going well, but then they have to go take a trip for 3-4 weeks, and you don't really know if they like you or not, but you're making progress because you picked up the phone and you called them, and that was a big step for you. And then they go on vacation for 3 weeks, and so what you do is you dive into service and you go help 5 other people attract their soulmate, or you go help 5 other people work through belief system issues where they can't have what they want, and now you've surrendered the outcome. So what happens is in that 3 weeks, why your so-called dream guy or so-called dream girl was on vacation, all of a sudden during an act of service, you run into somebody at Starbucks or out running one day, and it is the exact person that you wanted to meet, which means the person that you first desired was only coming from your past cast of characters, which means ego can only filter through what's been. So when you're trying to pick a soulmate, sometimes you pick someone who or that you felt love for, and so that's like the center of your universe. But you haven't met all the cast and characters that you're going to meet when you raise your vibration. You haven't met the people yet that are coming into your life that you couldn't have met when your vibration was lower, because when you set a vibrational desire, you're not in a high place of state of being yet. And by the time you get into service on this process, you are in a whole nother state of being. You are in a whole nother ball game, which means that you would have actually been settling if you would have manifested that guy through, or manifested that relationship that just in that process. Or what happens is during your act of service, the guy that you really, really want, or the girl you really, really want, does a whole bunch of self-work and raises their personal vibration. So the thing is, it's really important for you to surrender the outcome, because the thing is what you end up with is usually never what you imagined. It's always better, 1,000 times better. It's 1,000 times bigger, which means because when you raise your vibration, then you can be in alignment with people and places and circumstances that have a higher vibration. And so you have to say, you know what, I'm desiring this, but I know that I'm going to do a lot of growing and expanding on this manifestational journey. And so whatever comes, it will be exactly what I want, what higher self wants, and it will expand my life and my circumstances. And I just need to be open for not having all the information based on where I've been and who I've been. I need to allow myself to expand and be bigger. And so that's the process. And I've done this many, many times with business, with homes, with relationships, with everything you can imagine. This is my secret formula. And it is all about you. You see how I really didn't involve anyone in this process until I got into inspired action and service for others. Because it really is 99% done when you desire it, when you intend it. It is done, which means you are just waiting to shift into the parallel reality and align up with the character who you actually want to become. But you can't be that character until you move through all of the issues why you don't have it. You're not stuck, right? You just believe something about yourself that's not true. You're not blocked. You just have belief systems that are standing in the way of you being completely unlimited. And so there is shadow work on this journey. There is self-realization. There is awareness work. There is service involved. You need to balance energy. You need to see where you are out of alignment with your giving and receiving. You need to see how much you actually love yourself. Because if you're trying to create a soulmate, you're only going to attract a soulmate that is exactly like you are when you're desiring, which means if you don't love yourself, you're going to attract someone else who doesn't love themselves. So as you go through this process, you're actually going to be learning self-love. Just by being of service, you're going to be more self-loving. So that means by the time you get into actually manifesting, you're going to manifest someone who loves themselves. You're going to manifest way more money and freedom and opportunity. You're going to manifest the big sectional couch instead of the little couch that you could afford. It's like allow yourself to be the bigger part of you, because higher self is the expanded part of you, and higher self is the one who had the original desire, but you had to filter it through your belief systems, and it came out, $100,000 when higher self wanted you to be a billionaire. So it's like allow yourself to expand. Don't keep yourself small because you're afraid. And listen to some other podcasts, because this all ties together. And this all ties together and everything I've ever said. So, do your meditation, do your brain reentrainment, do your life coaching, do your journaling, do your shadow work, do your time travel, do your energy work. Focus on making yourself your greatest investment. When you do that, the universe is watching. You are teaching the universe how to treat you based on your actions and behaviors. So if you keep thinking one way and behaving another way, the universe is going to be contradicted constantly with its manifestations to you. In my workshops, I teach that the universe is listening to you in 3 ways: your thoughts, your words, and your deeds. And a lot of times your thoughts and your words and your deeds are not in alignment. You think you want something, but you behave completely out of alignment for that desire. You behave like someone who will never get what they want. You behave like someone who doesn't feel supported, yet your desire is to feel supported. So it's like you have to be hyper, hyper, hyper aware of your behavior in these stages. And that's why I put the formula as this. Because when you just read a book like The Secret and they're like, hey, believe it and become it, it's like, well, how do I do that? My character has been, programmed for, 35, 45, 55 years to be this character. So you've got to be like hyper aware. It's like when you're learning how to do something for the first time. You had to be really aware when you were first driving a car. You had to be really aware when you were learning to walk. And the thing that cracks me up sometimes is, people will spend 4 and 12 years in school to learn a trade or a craft. Yet they won't spend 6 months working on learning to manifest, which would allow them to bypass all of that study to create value, to create success, to create money, to create joy. It's like you could literally download any character from the quantum field and find that parallel reality of your version of you that already exists in that creation, and just step into it. If you did the process, there is nothing that you can't create. There's nothing that you can't have. And if I can build a life for myself from absolute ashes and disabilities and sickness and tragedy of my life, and become this version of myself and speak to you through my higher self, then anything is possible, because I'm not special. Like, I just refuse to give up on my desires. I refuse to give up on who I could be. So it's true. Once you manifest what you want, you will want something new. And the reason why is because you're a creative being. Look at that word, create. As soon as you get what you want, you will be on to the next, because you're expanding, you're expanding, you're expanding, you're pushing the envelope of who you could be and what you can make and what you can create. So don't be upset if you manifest something and you're like, wow, it was way better in my imagination than it actually was when I got it. Just go back into your workshop and create something bigger this time. And create something bigger. And don't be afraid to walk away from things you've built in 3D. Don't be afraid to walk away from businesses. Don't be afraid to walk away from people. Don't be afraid to walk away from a diet that's kind of worked for you, or, you know, ideas that have worked for you. Because if you're going to expand, you've got to, you know, go to the next stepping stone, which means that you can't keep that stepping stone and go to the next stepping stone. It's like they'll be too heavy if you start collecting them. You've got to let go and move on. It's like I started off my career as a nutritionist, and I thought, oh, this is the way I'm going to help people. I'm going to heal everyone this way. And, in a matter of 3 years, I wasn't even doing nutrition anymore. I was doing this. And if I would have held on to the idea that I had to be a nutritionist, then I would have never been able to expand and be this new person who is, uses little teaching of nutrition at this point in my career. So it's like you have to let go of who you've been to become who you're going to be. And that's all belief systems. It's just layers and layers and layers, like an onion of old belief systems, and they will pop up. You will think them, you will manifest them, they will show themselves to you. You do not have to go searching for them. They are right in your behavior. All of your belief systems are linked in your behavior, how you react, the emotion that is connected to the feelings. So this is the process. I hope you got a couple of nuggets from this. I will be doing expanded workshops on this. I really want my light coaches to be powerful manifestors. I don't want them to ever resist flow of abundance or flow of healing potential. I don't want them to, have any blocks or stuck points in being able to create for themselves. And so I teach this very heavily in my light coaching certification program, because you are a master, you are the guru, you are the spiritual teacher, and there is nothing standing in the way between you and that, other than the things that you've bought into about yourself and your circumstances. And circumstances don't matter, only state of being matters. So which means is you have to become the new state of being through this process and this formula, and then you move into who you knew you always were inside. You will finally feel comfortable in your own skin. You will finally feel comfortable in that body. You will feel comfortable with money and abundance and love and support, and you will know what heaven on earth feels like. So if you're interested in doing any of our certifications, or reaching out to me for a private session, or any of our light coaches for a private session on how to do this more extensively, or how to do any of the shadow work in between the steps, feel free to reach out. Find us on Facebook. We're Transcendence Wellness Center. Find me personally, Jess Alstrom at Gmail. Go to our website, transcendencekc.com, to book a session, or go to TICA, and look at our online consciousness academy, where I do all of my certifications. And if you're interested in the brain reentrainment, we sell the brain tap device that is the meditation and the brain reentrainment and the nervous system repair system, for $100 cheaper than the manufacturer. So make sure you just say, you heard this podcast, or you heard one of my podcasts, and we'll give you that $100 discount on that. For now, subscribe to our channel, share this if this resonated with you, because that's how we can change the world, is by just giving the world lots of information. And I will tell you a secret. One of the reasons why I'm doing all of these podcasts and doing all of this teaching and training is, first and foremost, I have such a desire to help. And I know what this process is like, and I know that the thing that I desired the most going through this was someone to help me. And so I feel very honored to be able to help others. But it's also my sixth step of manifestation, because I too am creating something extremely large right now. And so by me doing all of these podcasts and doing all of this teaching and just giving everything away, including a documentary that I'm about to release on my time travel process so that anybody can do it, is I am surrendering the outcome of creating something humongous for myself and for my community. I'm starting intentional communities. I'm starting school for children, and I need to be a bigger, expanded version of myself in order to manifest that. And I need to be able to move into that parallel reality where I could handle that kind of responsibility. And so part of my 6 steps of manifesting my school is actually doing this service right now and doing all of these podcasts. And so I follow exactly what I teach. I live what I'm teaching, and that's how I'm going to expand. And I can only expand past my belief system. So I've got to expand my belief system. So when I hear you guys, your emails about how this podcast has helped you, that helps me raise my vibration. And so I really, really appreciate all you guys' feedback and sharing the videos and really working on your journey, because it is like the 100 monkey effect. When you move into higher self vibration of unconditional love, you affect 750,000 people around you just by your own energy field, by just you radiating peace, love, and unconditional love. So keep doing what you're doing. Listen to this as many times as you can. Share it. And I look forward to meeting and working with you soon.
Thank you for joining Jessica on this transcending episode. Email us directly at jessicaalstrom@gmail.com with your questions and personal challenges you would like addressed on the show. And join us on next week's podcast. You are not alone, and remember, your higher self speaks to you through people, places, circumstances, and events.